trial. Appeal Court rules Philip Shaibu remains Edo State Deputy Governor. Federal government constitute a 10-man committee to enforce Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy, and oil producers reject mandates to sell crude to local refineries. On the foreign scene, IDF reviews the 6 hostages' bodies retrieved from Gaza tunnels. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The news at 6 begins with the Court of Appeal ordering the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, to produce himself for arraignment. The court also restrained Bello from taking further steps in the charge unless he is arraigned. The court further set aside the judgment delivered by the Kogi State High Court. Yahaya Bello's whereabouts have been unknown since the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) attempted to arrest him during a raid from his residence in Abuja a few months ago. The EFCC is currently prosecuting Bello for alleged misappropriation of over 80 billion naira while he was governor for 8 years. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal Abuja Division has dismissed the appeal filed by the Edo State House of Assembly, thereby affirming that Comrade Philip Shaibu remains the Deputy Governor of Edo State. The Appellate Court upheld the earlier ruling by the Federal High Court in Abuja, which nullified Shaibu's impeachment and ordered his immediate reinstatement. This development follows Shaibu's controversial impeachment on April 8 by the Edo State House of Assembly, where he was accused of perjury and leaking government secrets. However, Justice James Amoto of the Federal High Court had ruled that the impeachment process did not follow due process, and as a result ordered Shaibu's reinstatement to his position. In its decision, the Court of Appeal also warned that any person aside from Shaibu who attempts to parade themselves as Deputy Governor of Edo State would face legal consequences. Additionally, the court set aside the appointment of Omobayo Godwins, who had been named as judgment. The court also directed the IG of Police to provide Shaibu with the necessary security to ensure he resumes his duties as Deputy Governor of Edo State until the end of his tenure. The ruling has further intensified the political tensions within Edo State, which have been marked by internal conflict within the state's leadership. Shaibu has described the ruling as a win for democracy. Let's take a listen to Philip Shaibu speaking earlier today after the appeal court affirmed him as Deputy Governor of Edo State.
Prayers of Edo people and Nigerians, because the prayers have gone beyond Edo. Just everywhere I go, people meet me and say, look, we are praying for you, we are praying for you, outside Edo State, within Edo State. So for me, it's the prayer of Nigerians that has, again, God has answered this morning for dismissing the appeal filed by Edo State House of Assembly. And by the grace of God, all cases against me, because Nigerians and Edo people are with me in prayers, knowing fully well I'm the oppressed, and I'm the one being intimidated and harassed by anti-democratic forces. I know they'll continue to pray for me, and victory will continue to be for us. For today's judgment is victory for democracy, is victory for the judiciary, and it shows that judiciary consistently has become the hope of the oppressed, the hope of the common man, and by the grace of God, that institution will continue to flourish. So this judgment is to Edo people, to Nigerians, and glory to God. I'm so excited and happy, because this is the main case really, because Edo State House of Assembly was the one that purportedly impeached me, and the case today has been dismissed. The appeal is dismissed and is dismissed. So I'm happy about it.
In the meantime, the federal government has inaugurated a 10-man inter-ministerial committee to enforce the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy. You will recall that the Supreme Court had on July 11 granted autonomy to local governments across the country. In a statement by the Director of Information and Public Relations at the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Shagun Imohiosen, it was stated that the federal government has set up a committee for the implementation of the judgment. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, would lead the committee, while the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, and the Accountant General of the Federation will be members of the committee. All producers under the aegis of the Independent Petroleum Producers Group have warned against being forced to sell crude oil to the Dangote refinery and other local ones in Nigeria. The IPPG has also called on the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and NPCL to redirect its allocated crude oil volumes to Dangote refinery and other local refineries to mitigate the current crude supply shortage being experienced by the local refiners that is impacting local product availability in many parts of the country. IPPG IPPG chairman Abdulrazak Issa in a letter dated August 16, 2024, and addressed to the chief executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRC), Benga Komalafe, said the NNPC should utilize its allocated 445,000 barrels per day intervention crude oil volume to salvage the current situation as it did in many instances in the past. Issa said some IPPG members already owned or were supplying crude oil to local refineries, but insisted that the NNPC was in a good position to mitigate the current crude supply shortfall faced by local refiners by leveraging its statutory crude allocation for meeting local domestic consumption. The Nigeria Labour Congress NLC leadership has warned that it is prepared to embark on a fresh strike across the country in response to any attempt to arrest or detain its president, Comrade Joe Ajaero, by operatives of the Nigerian police. This declaration was made at the union's headquarters this morning following an immediate emergency meeting of the National Executive Council to deliberate on the police's request to invite the NLC president in light of allegations concerning the financing of terrorism. During the meeting, the NEC decided that Ajaero would accept the police invitation, but emphasized the necessity for the union's legal counsel to request additional time for Ajaero to be presented before the law enforcement authorities. Deputy President of the NLC, Comrade Ado Kabiru Sani, has urged the nation's workforce to be prepared for further instructions if the police action does not align with the union's expectations regarding Ajaero's detention. You're currently listening to the news at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Now joining me to discuss issues on the news this evening, I have Mr. Awa Omiko of the Sunday Editorial Desk. Good evening, Mr. Omiko. Welcome to the news at 6.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining me. So, we're beginning with judicial matters this evening. The appeal court has ordered Yahaya Bello to present himself for trial. We do know that for some time now, Yahaya Bello has been declared wanted by the EFCC and he's been nowhere to be found, despite all the speculations about his whereabouts and despite the speculations that he might have been hidden by the Kogi state government. There are others, Interpol has also been ordered to find him wherever he may be. The question is, where is Yahaya Bello? Does the EFCC really not know where he is? And with this, with the appeal court's order, would you expect him to show up?
Yes, because this is the right time. I mean, the state has respected him enough, maybe honored him, let me use the word, honored him enough, and failure to do this, he may be granted a personal non-grantor. And it's going to be a higher offense and a criminal offense in that matter, because at the end, initially he resisted arrest together with his cohorts or collaborators. They resisted arrest to the extent that allowing almost to a point of trying to fight the Nigerian police. But be that as it may, it is a very great honor upon His Excellency of the state, or for him to submit himself to the law, because nobody is above the law.
You feel that if Yahaya Bello submits himself to the law, it would absolve Governor Usman Ododo of the allegations that he might be hiding the former governor?
That is the only way. And from the look of things, from the startup of the resisting arrest, in fact, his Excellency has some questions to equally answer. If Nigerian state is supposed to play its role as expected, both of them should be arrested for resisting. Would actually follow. Would actually follow. So for him to be on his face, it will be better for him to honorably submit himself to the law, as the law has respected him enough.
Certain Nigerians and certain analysts and critics are saying that if the EFCC wants to get Yahaya Bello today, this moment, that they can't get him and they're stalling for reasons best known to them. Is that a position that you agree with?
No. What is who they can get him. Nigerian state, Nigerian law, the law can get him. Nobody is above the law. If they do diligence, they will get it. And I don't want to believe that is at large. I don't believe that. You can't be at large. What is our intelligence? What are our intelligence people doing? They know how to get in and let them appease him, they will get him. Nobody, he's not a spirit. Neither is he invisible. He's within us, and we can get him if they want. So let the security architecture do the needful, and they bring him out. If he doesn't want to commit himself.
All right. Still on judicial matters, we're going from Kogi to Edo State, where the Court of Appeal in Abuja has dismissed the appeal filed by the Edo State House of Assembly, and the court has affirmed Philip Shaibu that he remains the deputy governor of Edo State, and says Omobayo Godwin should no longer parade himself as deputy governor of the state. We know that due to a different ruling, Philip Shaibu had tried to resume as deputy governor of the state, and he's been facing certain impediment following his impeachment since April. And knowing that this current administration of Governor Godwin Obaseki will leave there in about November, why is it that Shaibu is happy about this judgment? Why does it seem that he's fighting so much to reclaim his seat as deputy governor, even when he won't be in this position till the end of the year due to the elections, the governorship elections coming up?
That has to do with the power of incumbency. Power is sweet, and mind you, if he doesn't come back, his name will be taken off from the Gazette of the, and nobody wants his name to be off the Gazette. It will be a pride on him that yes, he was the governor, he was the deputy governor of the state. And besides, after the court ruling, because as you see the law cannot be interpreted that way. After the court ruling, I would appeal to make that state to be at peace. I will appeal to the powers that be for them to sit down.
Power rather than proving his innocence.
If you use the word accused, which is what alleged. And once you are no longer in the good books of those that be, there's every tendency of raising cases against you, which is lying. What did he lie about? And leaking government secrets. For what reason? You see, let us not give the dog a bad name to kill it. Let the powers that be, they know where they are holding at ransom. Let the powers that be come and make for peace. That is exactly what I'm saying.
All right.
Let them draw the case from the court, and the powers that be make that peace within that state.
Okay.
If they want that to become governable.
In its ruling, the court was saying that the impeachment did not follow due process, and that's the reason why Shaibu has been reinstated. Did that impeachment really not follow due process?
Yes, it wasn't. That is why I'm still insisting on the powers that be. Because when the powers that be begins to work, they can decide to shift the state house to the Bath Palace or to somebody's kitchen and tell you the mass was there, everything was there, and they have prepared it. But that is not it. The issue is that let the powers that be, let the elders of the state meet and take these things away from the court. When they believe that this is the one that state to be governable. Because at the end of the day, it is not a matter of he has been restated or restored as deputy governor. What happens after this government? That power will still be working. It is something, it's a continuum. The same power we want to hand over to the next government, and they still want to restructure and reinstitute the criminality of the act. And that is not abiding. If they want a true governance and they want the place to be governable, let these powers that be, which is the elders of the party and the elders of the state, meet and create peace and let peace rule among the fighting parties or sectors.
All right. Even with this, right, and seeing that there is no love lost between Obaseki and Shaibu, would you still expect them to still be able to work together for the good of the people of the state until this administration is done?
Politicians are highly unpredictable. Can never say what we do. All they're interested in is just their interest. There's always this thing, there's common enemy. And that common enemy, once it is struck, they will be friends. You forget whatever each other might have done or say in the public. Politicians know how to come back and how to correct their wrong. So let's say that either they work in harmony or not. The issue is that let's authorities that be create room for peace. They work in harmony. It is not a power loss, there's no friendship loss, and there's no war forever. They will end the war and they will still come back to the round table and say, "Boss, let's do things like this." The issue is that there should never be two captains in one ship, and that is the cause. That is the cause of if they agree and if they make peace, I believe you that party, the two politicians will work ahead. It does not mean what the court is saying. The court has just given its own ruling, but it is those that will interpret the law that has to do that they ball lies in their court, and that is why I said earlier on that the law is an art, and that's a way to settle it or handle it.
Okay, then. Please round off your thoughts on that topic so we can move forward.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Omiko. All right, let's move forward in the conversation this evening and talk about oil producers rejecting the mandate to sell crude to local refineries. That is the Independent Petroleum Producers Group. They are warning against being forced to sell crude oil to Dangote Refinery or any other local refinery in Nigeria. Instead, they're calling on the NNPCL rather, that it should redirect its allocated crude oil volumes to Dangote Refinery and other local refineries in order to solve or to mitigate and reduce the issue of current crude supply shortage being experienced by local refiners. The IPPG is saying the NNPC should utilize its allocated 445,000 barrels per day intervention crude oil volume to salvage the current situation, as it has done in many instances in the past. It's saying it is not happy at being forced to sell crude. Right now, what many Nigerians are concerned about is the fact that they are facing acute petrol scarcity. Even right here in Lagos, transportation costs have doubled and tripled over the past 3 days due to a shortage of fuel, due to the fact that people cannot even buy fuel in jerry cans anymore, based on a directive by the NMD.
And coupled with the fact that there's what is called imported inflation. These foreigners, those refining and bringing back to us, will never make you sell. You want to sell at their own price. To be the determinant of the pricing in a local market, because all these things has to, the pricing has to be incorporated into their pricing. And this is why, and in effect, why they are getting it, those making the system will equally be sustained, because they have the other that 15%, 20% kick front or kick centers that will be given to them. Be that as it may, in every economy, there must be a monopoly, we agree. And that monopoly has to be checked by the government, which will bring in the social pricing system. There's nothing wrong in Dangote refining our food. It should be given to Dangote since it is only refinery. In fact, we should even be ashamed that we have non-functional refinery. We should be very, very ashamed of this. It is when we begin to refine our fuel, our crude oil locally, that we begin to see prices begin to fall. We'll be able to detect and determine the quantity we want and at the price at which we want it. By the time you leave your pricing and your quantity to foreign body, you have to face one, imported inflation. You have to face two, conspiracy, and you have to face three, those cabal outside will begin to suck and milk you dry. There is a way, because they know we have another source of our technology is slow. We can never use another source of fuel to run our vehicles. And they want to use that knowledge to make sure that we depend on their strength, and they will be the one to import. What I'm saying in effect is that let that oil, let it be refined locally. And even all the independent refineries, those people you get in Port Harcourt, the South, bring them up.
Mr. Amiko, the problem right now is even getting the crude
those people
to refine.
Illegal refinery. Let us investigate them. Look at the utter quantity of oil they bring out. Let government help them to make sure that that their structure is properly and put in place.
You are proposing a legitimization of illegal refineries.
Petroleum come down, and I believe you. Believe me, if the government can effectively do this, then our fuel could sell at 150 or 200 naira at the filling station. But in a place where government is still running away, we are not even encouraging local producers. We are not even encouraging these local refineries. What do you expect? Imported inflation. And these people will use it, this cabal will use it to make sure that everything you do in Nigeria will not work. In fact, the president is still should be grateful to himself. If it is the people that are interested in overthrowing the government, they can use this pump price to overthrow the government, and they say he's not capable of managing it. So, Mr. President should look into it. Go to America. How did the refinery started? You go to other places. They encourage local refineries. You don't allow sensitive things to be in the hands of foreigners. You don't allow things like oil. They will refine it and bring it. Do you know that Nigerian market is big enough to absorb to make them want to say these things will never go down, and they want to insist on Nigerian economy and keep on milking us? And I put it in, and I stand to be corrected. There are some countries which the totality of vehicles in Nigeria, in Lagos alone, is equal to the totality of vehicles in their country. Do you think if those countries are beginning to refine oil for you, do you think they will allow you to go? No. They want to let you go off their refinery easily. But we just have to take the bold step by saying we want our oil to be refined locally. And until we take that bold step, we begin to see about our refineries and begin to put them in order. And we begin to look into those small-scale, medium refineries that is scattered along the south, and begin to make sure we encourage them to give us good, high-quality oil, and begin to look at other areas and begin to make sure that the petroleum sector is accountable. Because of what is happening, you begin to see fictitious amounts and fictitious figures being run, because every user of fuel is making the ordinary Nigerian. And look at what it has affected. It has affected the economy to the extent that even common tissue paper is now attached to the pricing of crude, which is not too good for the economy, and which is the macro and micro economy of this country. And that's one thing I'm not talking.
Thank you,
Hello?
Mr. Awamiko. I have to let you go at this point because of our time, but I must thank you for your submission and for your analysis on the 6 p.m. news this evening. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're still listening to the news at 6 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. You're still listening to the news at 6 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Outside Nigeria, the bodies of 6 hostages being held by Hamas have been retrieved from an underground tunnel route inside the Gaza Strip, which is Israel's military has said. A statement from the Israeli Defense Forces IDF said the bodies were recovered from the Khan Yunis area on Monday. 5 of their deaths had already been announced by Israel, although it was thought that one of them could still be alive. The overnight recovery operation was carried out by the IDF alongside the security agency Shin Bet. The 6 men were all kidnapped from Kibbutz Ner Oz and Kibbutz Nerim near Israel's border fence with Gaza during Hamas's attack on on southern Israel on October 7, 2023. Well, that's it on the news at 6. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that the appeal court has ordered Yahaya Bello to appear for trial. Court of Appeal rules Philip Shaibu remains Edo State Deputy Governor. Federal government constitute a 10-man committee to enforce Supreme Court judgment on local government. And the oil producers reject mandate to sell crude to local refineries. On the foreign scene, Israeli Defense Forces review 6 hostages bodies retrieved from Gaza tunnels. And that is a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Good evening and thank you for listening.